Okay, so the topic of the day is glutes. Okay, so I don't know who sits at home and works on a desk all day, but according to the statistics, it's a lot of people. So, what can we do so that at work, our glutes don't go to sleep? So, right now I am stretching something called the hip flexors. The hip flexors inhibit the activity of the hip extenders, okay? That sounds like a whole bunch of biomechanical kinesiology terms, but let me simplify this for you, okay? This is hip flexion. This is hip extension. Hip flexion, hip extension. So hip extension is when your hip comes from a flexed position into an extended position. It is handled by your glutes, right? So when you sit down and your legs are bent all day, your glutes are shutting off, aka they are going to sleep, aka they aren't doing anything. So when your trainer that doesn't know what they're talking about tells you that all you got to do is lay on your back and do donkey kicks and side lying raises instructions and this kind of stuff to activate your glutes, stop listening to them, okay? Before your glutes are going to grow, the hip flexors need to turn off. Once the hip flexors turn off, then we can work on the hip extenders. What are the best activities to train hip extension? Well, I would say number one will be the deadlift. Why? Because when we're holding it, we are purely bending and extending with hip extension handled by the glutes. When we squat, okay, we are getting knee flexion and hip extension. Knee flexion. Knee flexion is when I'm bending my leg. Who sees this? Who sees my quad working? Okay? That is why squats build your quads. They also build your glutes, but they also build your quads. So when you're looking for pure glute, pure hamstring, deadlift is where it's at. Okay, what else looks like this? Everyone's favorite, the hip thrust, okay? There's only one problem with the hip thrust. Everyone does it wrong, okay? Do not load up your hip thrust like it is a power lift. It is not a power lift. It is a mind-muscle connection. It is an isolation exercise, and it is a very short range of motion. In a hip thrust, I have hundreds of pounds, and I am thrusting and squeezing my glutes. That's great. Will I feel it in my glutes? Yes. Does that mean they're building? No. No, it does not. So, when it comes to training your glutes, you need to stretch your hip flexors. After your hip flexors are stretched, then you train your glutes with hip extension. If you don't know what hip extension is and your trainer can't explain to you what hip extension is, then one of two things. They don't know what they're talking about, or they don't know what they're talking about. So anyways, train your glutes properly. Have a great day.